All right, we are live. Thank you guys all for joining today. We're talking about automation and AI in field service, and particularly what that looks like now and what that looks like in the future. It would be great to see, just to make sure people can hear us, if you can say hi in the chat and let us know that you're here. Maybe tell us where you're from and who you're with, just so we know. All right, looks like it's working. Cool. So we have an exciting topic and agenda today. We're co-hosting this webinar with one of our partners, Nice Job. So just an overview of the agenda and what we're going to get into. So first, I'll let Idan and Oscar share their story. Then we'll get into a little bit about the future of automation and AI as it relates to field services. Number three tips to add automation and AI into your company today and how you should be thinking about it. Then we'll have a Q&A. So please make sure you're asking questions. We're happy to also ask questions as they pop up during the presentation and during the conversation. And then finally, we'll go into some final words and final thoughts. So today we have Oscar and Idan joining this webinar. I'll let them introduce themselves and kind of tell their stories. So first, I'll pass it on to Idan to talk about who he is.
Yeah, so welcome everyone. Excited to be here. So my name is Idan. I'm one of the founders of Workiz. Started this company a while ago. I mean, the first offshoot was kind of a hack together solution that I made for my own business about 17 years ago. Time flies. We had a locksmith company. We're servicing all of Southern California, and we were very interested in data, which was uncommon back then. Okay, so we wanted to find a way to kind of track our data, our CRM capabilities, and connect it to our phone and communication tools. And nobody was given that, so we built our own. Over the years, more and more pros came and kind of enjoyed the idea and the success. And eventually, we were kind of, I always say it happened by accident. We were kind of pushed into becoming a startup. But it gathered the support that it did, which was amazing and brought us to where we are today. So, that's kind of my story and Workiz in a nutshell.
Awesome. I'm going to pass it to Oscar to kind of go on and tell us about your story and tell us a little bit about Nice Job.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Oscar. I look after partnerships at Nice Job, so I get to work with Wes fairly closely alongside Yoni, who I saw was in the chat, so it's great to see him in here. So yeah, Nice Job, you can see on the slide there, we're a reputation marketing company. So that's kind of jargon for we automate the process of getting reviews and referrals off clients. My personal story, so you can probably hear from the accent, I'm English. I lived in London for many years working in finance and kind of grew out of love with helping the kind of super rich get even richer. And when I moved to Canada with my now wife, I decided I really wanted to kind of do something that was a little bit more impactful and that was closer to kind of making a difference to people's lives that I could connect with. So I've been working in kind of small business for the last 5 years in small business services, and through Nice Job, I get to do something that has a real tangible impact on people. Like looking at Tanya's chat just coming through in the message in the chat just as I'm talking about that is awesome, and just to be part of something that helps companies get more reviews and stand out online is very rewarding. So I'm very happy to be here.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, Oscar, and it's cool to see in the chat some people that use Nice Job for some success there. So let's get into today's topic, which is how is AI and automation changing field services? So before we begin, I am super curious. We're going to publish a poll. So there's a poll on the bottom. We're going to publish 2 polls, actually. There's a poll section that you guys should see. So we have a few questions there. And there, one, do you use any sort of AI in your business today? And then Also really curious if you can share what you're doing in the chat so we can kind of see and people can learn from your experiences. And then second, as we're talking about automation as well, just curious, like what types of automations are you using in your business, and what is your favorite one? If you don't see anything listed there that you're doing, feel free to share in the chat also anything that we didn't think about. So to begin today's discussion here, I'll pass it off to the experts, but right now, automation and AI cannot replace technicians, but it can change the way you're operating your service business. And so I have a question just for our experts on the panel here. When you're talking about the difference between AI and automation, maybe talk about a little bit why they're both important to your business, and then I'll have a follow-up questions afterwards. So I don't know who wants to start. Maybe Idan, you can go first.
Yeah, sure. So the difference is, redundancy and prediction, I'll say. Okay, so that means when we're talking about automations, we're trying to basically eliminate the tasks that we're repeating over and over again. Okay, so going back to the early days of my own service business, and then later on why we formed Workiz, is that we found that better communication is helping service pros. Okay, so that means if my techs call the customer to tell them that they're on the way, or text them, or follow up with them, it just increases the chances of profitability. Okay, so we can clearly say that when a tech calls the client on time, the cancellation rates drop and the profit margin goes up. And we wanted a way to automate this, basically. Okay, so how can we tie this into the CRM and make it a part of the workflow? So that's automation for me. Making sure that instead of you picking up the call or texting people and following up on an invoice, on a payment, or something like that, automating review collection, all of those subjects are just automated for you. They should happen automatically for you, because I already know what you're going to do. When we're talking about AI, it's predicting. Okay, so that means this is an area where you're always relying on people with know-how, and AI can kind of take that and not replace it completely, but really help it. Okay, if you're about to write a message for a customer following up on a part that was ordered, we can compose that message for you. We already know who's that customer. We already know what part you ordered. There's no reason for you to sit down and compose a whole email around it. We can already tell you what conversations were good or bad. Okay, we can flag things for you that you had conversations. As you know, Workiz has a VoIP capability built in there. So instead of the knowledgeable person in the business sitting down and auditing calls according to their own knowledge, we can actually use what we have and tell you, hey, you don't need to go over this. We can already tell you that there's about 5 jobs that ideally were an opportunity and you could have taken them, but we're flagging this for you. So these are just 2 examples of each in its own way of like what's an automation, how it benefits you, and what's an AI capability and how that can benefit you. Oscar, please chime in.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you nailed it. When I think about automation, it's I'm thinking about these sorts of rules that you can set in your business and the processes that you have internally that allow you to focus and your team to focus their kind of time and efforts on things that are going to help growth or help you run a better business. And so, and that in turn is going to affect your kind of operating margins, your net margins. It's going to put more money back in your pocket at the end of the year. So, I really think I think about automation as the kind of the next step on to standard operating procedures. Like the V1 is, okay, we're looking at our business and we need to create standardized processes. Then I look at those standardized processes and I think, okay, what of these need me to be involved? How can I bring things in that reduce my kind of manual involvement in those processes so that I can focus on, getting more leads, getting more customers, serving more jobs, expanding the business. And then AI, I think, Idan, you put it really well in terms of its predictive capabilities. You think about the definition in and of itself in terms of artificial intelligence. It's having a process that thinks within the kind of framework that you create, and kind of goes above and beyond what automation is able to do. I think if I'm thinking about Nice Job and how I would apply it to what we do, a good distinction would be in the insights that we give our customers. We have a natural language processing model, to use the kind of the technical jargon, which reads the reviews that come in and summarizes them according to various topics. And if that was automation, you could set up a rule that just said every time this word gets used, put it over there. That would be the kind of V1 of that product. But the V2 that's kind of AI powered, which is what is this review actually saying? It's not necessarily a keyword, but what are they trying to convey, and what's the overall summary? And so that's kind of, I would say that's in a nutshell the difference between the two.
And then just a follow-up question for you guys. So talked a little bit about it, but how would you define the connection as of today between AI and automation in like your direct bottom line? How does it lead to making more money, and is there a connection? Maybe, Don, this is a good one for you.
Yeah, I mean, so, it's very easy for me because it's data that we're monitoring every day. Okay, so, a business pro that uses Workiz, they use it for everything. Okay, so that means they take their bookings, they take calls through Workiz, they schedule, they end up, assigning the work, invoicing customers, collecting payments. So we see kind of the entire flow, and we see what makes a business successful and less successful. So like I mentioned in the beginning, advocating for communications. This is something I've been advocating to service pros since 2006. But something happened in the recent 3 years that really changed everybody's perception. Okay, everybody got used to Amazon and Lowe's and Home Depot, and you're getting a notification for everything, messaging for everything, reminders for everything. You're starting to expect that from your plumber. So we're looking at the data, and the customers that use automations with Workiz, we see that they're making up to 20 to 30% more money because they're more in tune with their customers. Their customers don't miss appointments because they're getting those notifications ahead of time. I mean, we've all been there. You're driving up to a customer, for an hour in traffic, and you get to the home and they're like, oh, we forgot we have an appointment. And this is, this used to just like piss me off, but, and it's a good reason to write a feature, by the way, if you actually had this happen to you. But we see it, people that, accounts with Workiz that use automations to follow up, to remind people, they just make more money. It's just a very plain fact. With AI, it's a bit early to say because we just started, exposing people to these new features. I'd say about 5 or 6 months ago. But we're already seeing cases where people are monetizing on calls that they didn't know about. Okay, because this happens to every service pro. Okay, at the beginning, you're just like Joe's Plumbing, and you're picking up the call, and everybody are used to talking to Joe, and everybody that calls gets the best treatment and ends up booking a job and closing on the estimate. When you're getting a bit away from the work and you're letting other people that you hired answer the phone call, you do experience some degradation there. Okay, so that means obviously the dispatchers will not close as many leads as you would. And with AI, we're kind of showing that to you, like where can they improve, what talk tracks, what calls could have been a job in our eyes.
Awesome. I think this is a good segue to our first topic further than just the introduction, which is we're going to talk a little bit about streamlining tasks. So leveraging automation, this is more so on the automation side, but leveraging automation can streamline tasks and help you grow your business. Question for our panel here. When talking about automation, just generally, how can this help grow your business, and how can you implement automation to improve your efficiency? I know as it specifically relates to the poll also, we got a bunch of responses. A lot of you guys review requests for automations. Sometimes you guys are automating texting with customers, but just in general, it'd be great to hear you guys expand on this a little bit more when it comes to automation.
I've got to admit, by the way, I voted in the poll, so I think my vote is putting reviews right at the top right now, which is sweet.
Well, now it's tied. Now 9 people said appointment reminders, 9 people said review requests, 8 people said automated texting with customers, 7 following up on invoices. People may have voted on multiple categories, though.
Fair enough. One thing I would say just straight out the bat as I look at this slide and the 3 points we've got here is, if you're, if you're running a small business, either each one of those things or the combination of those 3 items, following up on estimates, following up on, revenue outstanding, and collecting reviews, that could be a whole person's job or 2 people's job or something like that, which is, suddenly you're bringing on a cost center to your business that could be, 50 grand plus or something like that you have to pay for a year, which is just going to come out of your operating margins. So the fact that you can put rules in place or implement software that's going to cost a fraction of that money and reduce the need for that additional headcount, it has a direct impact on how much money you're going to make as a business. The next reason it will make an impact is just you'll be more time rich as well. You think about, we would have people that from the nice job perspective that would talk to our sales team and say, hey, this is just something I would do at the end of the week or the end of the day. I would try and get all these text messages out or emails out to people. And it would mean that I would have to stay in the office an extra 2 hours, 3 hours or something just to get all this stuff out. All of a sudden, you're getting that time back in your life. You can go home, you can hang out with your family, you can kind of have the business that looked a little bit closer to what you thought it was going to look like when you went into it. So yeah, I mean, hugely, all these things I think make a big difference, and we can talk about them in detail. But yeah, I think off the bat, you can definitely see the impact it would have on a business owner.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the most straightforward answer is just improve your visibility online. Okay, I mean, if you're collecting reviews, this is, I remember where the whole thing kind of started to change around 2010, 2011, that, suddenly online reviews were such a, detrimental factor to if you're getting leads or not. And people had a hard time adjusting to it. But today it's a fact. It's a known fact. Okay, you have an online reputation. You have to maintain it. You have to increase it. People are looking at that. People are, before anybody buys an Amazon product here, they're looking at those reviews. Should I buy it? Before you, and especially before you're calling a complete stranger to your home to fix something for you, obviously you're going to look at those reviews. So that's, that's the most obvious answer. When we built Workiz automation, so at first we templatized it. Okay, so we try to think of all the situations where you need to kind of automate stuff. Okay, and the obvious things were like, okay, maybe ask for a review, notify somebody that I'm coming tomorrow, send a text, hey, don't forget we have an appointment today. And then we added, invoices. Okay, so invoices due, send them a text message like, hey, your invoice is due today. 7 days later, like, hey, it's really due. 90 days afterwards, another ping. Following up on us on estimates. Now, this is something that us in the startup community are very familiar with cadences of follow-up. It's part of the work. You follow up on leads and you manage a pipeline. I was very surprised that there's a lot of service pros that don't look at it that way. So that means they'll get with the customers, they'll give them an estimate, maybe another call in the future, and that's it. And you can improve that number drastically. Okay, people's decision path, and this data is from Google, okay? The average time it takes people to decide on a purchase is 14 days, okay? And that includes, I would like to get a sandwich right now, to I would like to buy a home, okay? So that means, the average is 14 days. And you can assume that if I'm thinking about installing a solar panel or switch my water heater to tankless, that decision can be even longer, and you need to follow up. So a lot of service pros obviously are very busy and don't do this. Automations allow for that, okay? So that means, hey, Mrs., and again, everything is automated with short code. So, hey, Mr. Jones, okay, yesterday we were at your house at this address, and we gave you an estimate for, replacing, X job type. I just wanted to make sure we're clear on the line items, and I'm here for you if you have any questions. After 7 days, you send another message, okay? After 21 days, you send a breakup SMS. Okay, so, I can't, I didn't hear back from you. Just wanted to let you know, FYI, we have a promotion with 10% off. If you do this, you're guaranteed to make more money. Okay, it's not an assumption. I've seen this happen so many times. If you do those follow-up automation and cadences, you will close more estimates. So we created all of these templates and scenarios, and then we also did kind of a build your own. And we were shocked. We were shocked by the creative ways that customers built their own automations on Workiz. People started doing automations for if they miss a call, they send back a text to the caller saying, hey, I'm on the other line, but here's my booking link. You can book jobs. People started, following up on different lead stages. If a job is canceled, they start sending a text like, hey, we just wanted to know why, what went wrong and why did you cancel your appointment? They started creating all sorts of templates. And, that really, when people take what you build and take it to the next level, that really kind of shows you the value there. So yes, so many ways that this can generate more money for your business, from, the obvious improving your reputation online to actually helping you with the work stages.
I think the other cool thing about automation, the clues in the title with it being automatic, is that you don't miss anything. It takes away that human error kind of piece of the puzzle. Like one part is that, yeah, it's saving me time so I can go and work on other things. But other things like estimate follow-ups, like, calling back for outstanding invoices, you're introducing this element of human error. If it's a stressful day or a stressful week, there's 100 things going on, you're trying to put out a few fires, it's easy to not ask that customer to leave a review or just to forget to follow up on that estimate you sent out a few days ago. By putting that automation in place, not only are you saving time, you are kind of guaranteeing that it will happen every time. And that is incredibly powerful. It's just creating that kind of safety net for your business.
Definitely. Let me ask you as a follow-up question. Do people care, or do they know that something is automated and it's not being sent from me, the business owner? Curious about your guys' thoughts.
I assume they know, and I think they appreciate the fact. Okay, so and this is just an assumption, okay? Because again, you don't get excited if Uber is sending you a notification like your driver is 5 minutes away, okay? Because it's Uber, it's a big name, okay? I think that if you're Mike's Junk Removal and your customer is getting that automated notification, first of all, they know it's automated. Second of all, they're like, oh, Mike's got a solid operation. Like, he's got a CRM, he's got an automation system around it. They're probably big. They're probably like 20, 30 men strong. I think it kind of sends some sort of a confidence message, like these guys have an operation. Oscar, your take on that.
I think that the automation allows you to deliver a level of service that the customer may not have experienced otherwise, in terms of speed, in terms of some of the stuff we're going to talk about, communication. So I think that gets you off on on a good footing anyway with clients. Interestingly, at Nice Job, I think about the review requests that we send out, and we very intentionally made the last step in the review campaign a message that is written to come from the business owner saying, hey, this is Idan from Workiz. It would really make a big difference. And that message always performs really, really well. So it kind of shows to me that the combination of automation allowing you to do these things, plus you having some kind of personal input into whether it's the messaging or the steps that you're putting in place, is probably the secret sauce. Like I think I read somebody in the chat just now, Kristen, saying, you know, we try and make the messages sound warm. I think if you can review the automations you're putting in place and put something where it sounds like it's coming from your voice, or it's something that you would actually say, then I think that's kind of a way of encouraging the customer to feel like they are dealing with, you know, real people and a real business, but still capturing those same benefits from automation that are going to surprise and delight the customer, being like, oh wow, he's so attentive. They're replying to me already.
Mm-hmm.
That's very good segue now to our second topic, which is better communication with customers. So now I think let's talk more on like the AI side of stuff. There's a lot of great conversation going on in the chat right now. Maybe that's about AI chatbots, maybe it's answering in support centers. But I'm just curious, when we're talking about how AI can and automation can lead to better communication with customers, I'd be curious to hear your guys' thoughts on there. And then we also had a question that from Edward Scheel. I'm sorry if I said your last name incorrectly. But I think this would also be a good thing, Idan, for you to talk about a little bit. Can you give us one example on how to use Workiz AI tools? So let me just throw that out there. If you guys can talk about better communication with customers and then try to work that answer in somehow, that would be great. So whoever wants to start, maybe Idan.
Yeah, sure. So, so one of the first releases we did was the Compose tool for the Workiz Messenger. Okay, so that means we're doing what's called a smart compose, but we're doing it with context. So you'll notice that if you have Workiz communication packages enabled, when you're typing a message to the customer, it completes your words, but it doesn't just complete plain English. Okay, it completes words with context. Okay, so that means I'm talking to Oscar right now. I know Oscar has a meeting to repair a drain tomorrow at 9. So, hey, Oscar would complete. I'm contacting you about the drain repair meeting for tomorrow. And again, it will, I would like to know if, you would like to reschedule the appointment for another time because we have availability at. So that means we complete the texts according to the context with who the customer is, what do they need, and your history of talking with them. Okay, so that's live right now happening. In addition to that, we have a rephrasing and drafting option that we see a lot of the techs use. Okay, so sometimes we see this quite a lot actually, where the tech's English level is not always the best, and they use this option to rephrase their communication with the customer, just to seem more professional. Actually, the draft tool actually allows you to write messages in different languages as well. Okay, so that's number one thing. Our new calls insight is taking things to the next level. So we're actually summarizing calls for you and giving you a sentiment analysis. That means we can show you what calls were good, not good. You don't have to listen to calls. We see a lot of owners that, as I used to do, sit around on Monday night and just listening to call by call just to understand. And as you remember, Workiz records not only the calls from customers, it records your outgoing calls from the techs in the field. Okay, so you can actually get a summary. You can get a summary for those. And for incoming calls, we also extract entities. Okay, so that means, let's say me and Wes discuss right now his need to repair his furnace tomorrow at 2 p.m. And when we're going to talk about the address and how much this is going to cost, Workiz is going to give you all these job fields ready to add with one click, because we already heard the conversation and we know what we're looking for in order to generate a job. So you can essentially have an entire conversation and not write down anything and just click create job at the end of the conversation. So these are two examples of useful AI in Workiz. There's a couple of more things that we're actually working on that TBD in the next couple of months. So you're essentially taking up the level of your customer support. Okay, you're monitoring in a more efficient way over your dispatcher and field service guys, the way they're talking to the customers. You can even more than that, you can make your communication with the customer more efficient. And regardless of Workiz, what I've seen with the service pros, that they're actually able to put more time or more effort into their online presence now. Okay, because I have a lot of buddies in field service. It's like, hey, why you're doing such amazing projects? Why aren't you writing about it on social media and on your website? I don't have time for it. I've been meaning to hire a person for that. Well, you have ChatGPT now. Okay, just write a 400-word article on why solar panels are such a good investment for a home in Southern California. Okay, it's going to help your exposure online, and you don't need to hire anybody for it. You have AI for it. Yeah, Oscar.
Yeah, that's nice. I think we'll talk more on the marketing side. I think I love some of the stuff that you're doing, Idan, on the customer support, and I'm really interested to see where this, what the next kind of 12 to 24 months looks like in terms of that support side, and how a lot of the technology is going to filter its way down into the kind of the SMB space. And I think, if you look at the enterprise level now, things that are going on. I was reading a while ago about Klarna. They're a buy now pay later sort of fintech business that basically migrated a huge amount of their support function into an integration with ChatGPT to OpenAI. Mm-hmm. And February was the first month that they rolled this out, and I wrote down some of the stats. It's kind of crazy, but they had exactly the same level of customer satisfaction with the AI support versus the humans. The average kind of query was resolved 10 minutes faster than kind of human support, like waiting around for somebody to be available. The AI support was available 24/7 in 35 different languages, and it was the equivalent for that business to 700 full-time support agents, which is kind of mind-blowing. And obviously that's kind of available now, and people are doing this at the enterprise level. But what you're going to see is that this functionality will be kind of developed and will be available on a kind of mass market basis. And the other thing is that with the way that AI works and with these kind of chatbots, is that the more data that goes into the system and the more time a chatbot has to kind of process conversations and go through and solve problems, the exponentially better the service becomes. And so if this product is achieving results like that in month one, it's going to be incredible to see how it improves over time as it continues to learn, as it continues to feed the model. Nice job right now. I mentioned at the start, we're using AI in the way that we read the reviews that come in and summarize those topics for customers, so they can go in and see, hey, what do my customers love? What do they not like so much? We're testing right now the ability to kind of have AI provide automated responses to reviews. That's obviously a big thing that you can do to improve your kind of your local search ranking. That's an interesting challenge, because you don't want your AI chat going, because a lot of these can sometimes be kind of almost conflict resolution type conversations if it's a negative review, for example. So you don't want your AI going around promising something that you don't necessarily want it to promise or can't deliver on. So there's still some fine tuning to be done there, but there's certainly ways that we're looking to bring in it more into the business. But I think it's awesome to hear what Workiz is up to, because you have so many more opportunities to feed AI into different processes. It's very cool.
Great. Again, I really appreciate the discussion in the chat. I've been following along. It's been great to read some of that. The third topic we're going to do, which is the last topic before our Q&A, which is it's about leveraging AI and automation to create marketing traction. This is, I believe Rick asked a question earlier about email automation tools like active campaigns. I think this would be a good time to just kind of listen in about the topic of marketing traction. So let me just frame the conversation like this. So I believe most service pros, at least a majority of them, are not really in the marketing game and don't know how to leverage marketing. So I'd be curious for our panel to talk about how AI and automation can support these efforts.
Yeah, I mean, Idan kind of mentioned it briefly just now. I mean, I think that the advent of ChatGPT is really changing the game for people who have always, we've always been told, or business owners have always been told, that it's really important to build, a presence and deliver content, whether that's social posting or creating blogs. You've got to be hitting all these keywords. You need to be driving traffic to your website, to your Google business profile, whatever. But it's just another one of those time-consuming topics that can be, it can be one of those things that's almost overwhelming. You got sitting down, the idea of running a business and sitting down to write a 500-word blog article or a 1,000-word blog article can just be, I wouldn't even know where to start. And so having something where you can just fire off a request or an inquiry to ChatGPT and they can just produce it for you, it doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. It needs to be SEO optimized. And you can just start just pumping stuff out there. It can just have a huge impact. I'd love to kind of, Idan, I'd love to, if you've had anecdotal feedback from those kind of friends of yours and the impact they've seen from being able to do this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a great tip for SEO presence in general is to not chase down the major keywords. Okay. So for example, you have a plumbing business in San Diego. So the obvious thought is like, hey, I need to rank higher on San Diego plumber. Okay. And you need to kind of look at the low-hanging fruits. Okay, so that means take a neighborhood and optimize for that. So that means plumbing services in Pacific Beach, or clogged drain in National City. And the way to rank on those is to really write content for it. And this was a strategy I implemented back at the time in my business. Okay, so instead of trying to optimize for me appearing as a locksmith in San Diego, I would look for a Toyota key in El Cajon. And for me, what that meant basically was hiring a bunch of content writers and just all day pumping, content into our website. Back at the time, Facebook wasn't such a big deal. And not a lot of service pros are taking that, that initiative because, one, there's cost involved. You have to hire people and you have to monitor the results. So maybe they'll farm this out to an SEO company. Maybe that SEO company knows what they're writing about, okay? Because a lot of times people will pay for a marketing agency and find out that the entire content is, not relevant, okay? Because you know more about your trade than anybody else. Well, what I've seen now is that people now can write those articles using ChatGPT and just do some prompt engineering, okay, of like focus more on, I have a lot of friends that do remodeling, okay, so they'll write articles about modern or contemporary kitchens, okay, where there's a lot of people looking, to upgrade the design of their kitchen. And they're not going to necessarily look for like, hey, I need a general contractor in San Diego into Google. They're going to write, contemporary kitchen ideas in Southern California. And your article might show up. My tip for that is, first of all, get a lot of content, okay? It doesn't take a lot of work, okay? Just go OpenAI, Claude, whatever AI tool of your preference, and just generate articles. Okay, every week, just generate articles. Go to your website, whether it's Wix or WordPress, and just create new pages all the time. Second one is focus on the low-hanging fruits. Okay, don't go to the main keywords that everybody are competing on. Okay, think about the things in your profession that matter the most. Okay, energy efficiency when for hot water. Okay, contemporary look for your bathroom. That sort of thing. Think about that content marketing opportunities that not everybody see as very obvious. And again, generating the content super easy. I'm always a big advocate of investing in that and having a strong online presence, and I've seen it happen.
And I think it extends even beyond that. Some of the points we put here on the slide, but there's so much that's already out there or currently being developed that's just going to help you dramatically improve your return on investment on your marketing spend. Ideally reduce your cost per lead, and just all tie. It's just another part of your business that's going to tie into making you be more efficient. If you can find clients more efficiently, run your operations more efficiently, the net result of those two things is going to be incredibly powerful. But things that AI can do right now, you can have it look over your website and optimize it for SEO. You can have it review content that you're writing and make sure that it's optimized for SEO. You can include that in prompts for requests in the first place, make sure this is optimized. Mm-hmm. There's AI tools that are out there that can predict the right time and the right audience for you to be improving your paid ad targeting. And it can help you get more efficient with when and where you're putting it out. There are AI tools that can help you schedule social media posts. And again, make sure that your your timing and targeting is all kind of married up then. So there's a lot that the business owner can go and educate themselves about and install in their business. Or if they don't want to do that, there's a lot that you can go and take to your marketing agency and say, hey, are you using all this stuff? I think we could be squeezing a little bit more out of our investment. I want to make sure that, you're using a lot of these AI tools that are available. So I think marketing is definitely a key area where AI is going to really change the game.
Agreed. Okay, so we only have a few minutes left. I want to give quick final thoughts and then jump into a few questions if we have time, or if you guys have questions. So in summary here, AI and automation is changing very rapidly. It's not going to replace your technicians today, but it can make you more efficient. And then lastly, in the chat and in conversation, there's been several examples of benefit that utilizing AI and automation can be implemented in. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts as we get into Q&A, but it would be good to hear Idan or Oscar if you have some final thoughts as we wait for any questions that come in.
I'm just gonna look at the questions that we have here. So I see you answered Rick's question about the ideal business size. The differentiator from email automation is that we're not marketing focused, we're work focused. Okay. So that means our automations are in response to something that happened with your workflow. Somebody booked a job. You just went and gave an estimate to a lead. Okay, a lead was, an estimate was signed, an invoice is due, a job was completed, a job was booked. Everything that Workiz does in automation is kind of in completion to the work that you or your team members do. Okay, so that's very different from drip campaigns and something like that, which again have their, have their need for sure. But that's kind of what Workiz does around automation. And I see how to use a Workiz AI tool. I think we've explained the two major ones that we have. We have another beta actually coming out next week that actually extracts leads from emails for you. Okay, so we found that a lot of folks are getting like leads from some sort of a company, a warranty company or something like that, and they have to copy it over or integrate. We just came up with a new way for you guys to create leads from any email with zero work. So there's already 3 to 4 tools that Workiz uses with AI, and the key thing here is that we don't even know what tomorrow is going to look like. Okay, so I want you guys to understand that a lot of the things that AI can solve and help us with work, we don't even know what's coming. We don't know what people will do. When Apple came out with the iPhone, a lot of people kind of shrugged it off, and it was, not a big success at the beginning until, people got like, okay, we have an app store, we can build apps for phone, and then it blew up. Same thing's going to be with AI. Okay, so right now everybody are using it to kind of compose texts, or maybe a chatbot, or maybe write better content. In 6 months, in a year, we'll talking about a whole different thing, something that schedules work for you, something that can price out an estimate for a customer based on requirements. We don't know. For me right now, I'm just trying to, and I'm recommending to everybody I know, just to really stay open to it. Mm-hmm. Okay, don't miss out on the opportunities that it brings.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think I guess my closing thoughts would be that a lot of this process of, adding more AI and automation to your business is going to start with a full audit of your operations, and really try and be intentional about it and look at what are all the processes that are in place. That maybe you centrally store them anyway, but really sitting down and reviewing what are all the tasks that I have in my business. Because chances are, for the vast majority of those, automation already exists that can help you spend more time on the things you actually enjoy doing, whether that's in the workplace or not. And as we've kind of discussed today, it can actually add money to your bottom line, which is the name of the game. So yeah, I think that but it all starts with that review, and I think a lot of people know that automation is important, AI is coming, and there are things that it can do. But in order to know where you can put it into your business, you need to have a really good understanding of all those systems and processes. So I suggest starting there.
We did have one question come in the chat. Actually, a few things that seem like they're a little bit related. So, any use of AI with dispatching anytime soon? And then there's some comments about AI plus virtual assistants, which is interesting topic. But in terms of the AI with dispatching anytime soon, maybe Idan, you want to answer that question?
So it's a bit early, but we have something in the works. We have something very exciting that we're working on. I'll stop there.
Man, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And then there's another question: any best practice recommendations for getting started with Workiz? Idan, you want to take that one?
Well, it really depends what you're trying to get from it. Okay, the best thing is to just get with one of our account executives and just explore what you would need. So Workiz, at its base, again, it's a field service management platform. So that means scheduling, invoicing, the basics of work that we all know. From there, it really depends on your vertical and team size. So when you get with our account executives, we're trying to understand what are you looking, we always, in our sales process, we're always trying to understand where you're trying to get to so we can help you get there better. Okay, so if you're saying, hey, I'm spending $10,000 a month on marketing, I wanna get to $50,000. Okay, so let's implement call tracking and see how much you're profiting from it. Okay, I'm an HVAC contractor and I want to sell more subscriptions and service plans. Okay, not a problem. Let's see how we build out your plans. So there's a lot of different options. It is I mean, most of our customers just find their way in because Workiz is the most intuitive FSM, arguably among all the competitors. I would recommend just get with our account executives and you just let them walk you through and tailor the solution for you.
Great. I think that answered all the questions. First of all, Oscar, Idan, thank you for joining today and having such a great discussion about AI and automation. Thank you guys in the chat for being really, really leading a great discussion. Adia, yes. So that was my next thing. So in terms of recording of this meeting or like slides, I put my email in the chat here. If you guys do want a copy of the slides, feel free to shoot me an email and I'm happy to share that with you. In terms of the recording of this, so we will host it on our website on workiz.com under the resources section of our website. There's an area that says webinars. You can even review and watch all the old webinars we've done. There's a lot of good stuff on there. And then lastly, another way to watch the recording is immediately after this ends, maybe give it like a minute or two and you can watch it by using the same link you're joining today. So multiple ways. We'll also put it on our YouTube. I'm sure Nice Job will probably want to do something with that as well. But yeah, thank you guys for joining, Oscar and Idan. I'd let you guys say anything else you want to say also.
No, just thank you very much for having me. I've really enjoyed the conversation, learned a lot. So thanks so much.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thanks. And I'll stick around for another minute or so in the chat if you guys do have any other questions on text that I can answer. But until next time, I'm going to end the event and thank you all for joining.
Thank you.